Alright, hey everyone. Welcome to another devlog. Something I want to talk about came up that I'm always thinking about, which is when I review RPG Maker games, something I often complain about is itemization. Well, maybe sometimes I forget to bring it up because I tend to hate repeating myself because this issue is pretty much in every RM game. What I tend to complain about is actually like part of a broader thing of system design, which is just that covers like stats and like how items and different things affect the player and how the reward systems work and such. And basically, RM devs just autopilot using the defaults or rehashed JRPG mechanics from 30 years ago. So for example, you might find a sword that's +1 attack, but then you find a new sword that's +2 attack. Wowee. And when you equip the sword, you go, I guess I'm doing more damage. To me, that's like very boring. So what do I do? Well, first of all, I want all my equipment slots to feel like they mean something. When I see that a game has like boots, shin guards, belts, arm guards, gloves, under chest piece, top chest piece, etc., and all anything does is +1 def or +1 agility, and none of it is immediately palpable or inferable, like you don't just like see a big change, I roll my eyes. My philosophy is that every slot should try to be as exciting as the weapon slot, which is, it's basically impossible because the weapon slot drives your character and has all the personality of all in one slot. But, it's good to try to reach for that goal. The second thing I do is I want my slots to be as unique as possible and each have their own role. You can see that these guys are pretty streamlined. He goes up to the weapon program. He has weapon body shell program, weapon program. But today I just want to talk about programs. I think weapons are always exciting. Everyone has a different idea for how weapons can be interesting, but let's see what I did with this alternative slot. So in my game, programs change your skills or provide a big stat boost. The other slots don't do these things. You can see that programs give you things like a bunch of crit, or unlock alt fires for your weapons, or give you 2 deadly strikes instead of 1. This one changes like bars of light to blade of light. Makes reroute power no longer across the turn, but gives it a cooldown. So, some cool stuff to change things. And I want to talk about 2 specific programs I recently changed, which I did because I felt they were kind of boring and didn't live up to this design philosophy. First one was one that improved the recharge of the computer character, which is this skill, which just gives you your battery back. It's kind of what I have instead of guard in my game. And what the program did was it doubled the amount of battery you got back for recharge. Instead of 40, you'd get 80. And for reference, you only ever have 100 battery. So that's a pretty big deal, right? Doubling the amount of battery you get. Well, there's a few problems with it. First of all, everyone has access to an attribute called energy. And energy gives you 6 battery per turn. So if you max it out, that's 30 battery per turn. And originally my thinking was, well, the player can choose to equip this and save attribute points. That's like a choice. But now I think that it's not so great. It kind of steps on energy's toes. I think energy should just be allowed to be the king of its domain. Second issue is that so many computer skills are so mana efficient. Battery is basically mana, by the way. I have some later skills that will take more battery, but the most expensive thing she can do is optimize. It's this. And one of her best moves is free. So by the time you're out of mana with her, the fight's kind of over a lot of times. Again, later skills will make her more mana hungry, but I found her early skills in the early game need to be cheap in order to make her work. So what did I replace it with? What's more exciting than more battery? Mega Scan. So if you played my game, you know that one of the big gimmicks is that you scan guys and it reveals weak points to exploit. It's very powerful, but it's tied down by action economy. And as you improve your build, you may find yourself just blasting enemies and not bothering with scanning. Well, this program allows you to scan everyone in the room when you scan. But now it costs 100 battery instead of 20. So this feels like a game changer. Although, spoilers, the most possible scannable enemies in a fight is 4. This is due to engine limitations and screen real estate. So this has a cap on usefulness. Also, it's pretty lame if there's only 2 enemies, and full-on downgrade if there's only 1. But when there's 3 or 4 enemies, it feels like cheating. And this is also a good solution to that mana efficiency thing I mentioned. Imagine blowing all your mana in 1 turn. Then you regen 30 of it next turn, so it's okay. That's some build reinforcement right there. Now I'll show off a second item. Fabricator used to have a program that increased its battery capacity by 20. Remember I said hundreds to max. This kind of works. It means you can use 3 barbs of light 3 times in a row without having to recharge. Or you can heal twice, recharge, and heal a 3rd time. Or if you have 5 energy, you can heal 4 times in a row instead of 3.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning. If we used to go 1-on-1 and then add 66 and 2/3%, I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning.
So there are benefits. They just don't feel that big and they're hard to perceive. Right? Because all those things I mentioned, you're probably doing math in your head, trying to figure out, like, getting 30 mana back a turn, then, you go from 50, you spend this, you go from 50, or 100 to a 50 mana, and you gain 30 back from energy, and so you spend another 50, and that puts you down to 30, and then you get another 30 mana back, puts you at 60, right? But if you have 120, brings you back to 100, it's down to 50, blah, blah, blah. So what did I replace this one with? Well, I replaced this one with Adrenaline Surge. Normally, Adrenaline just gives the chassis an extra turn, but this gives it a residual effect, so the next turn the chassis will act sooner. This one isn't as explosive as Megascan, but Adrenaline is already a super powerful skill. I could also buff it so it lasts for the next 2 turns instead of 1. We'll see. This one kind of steps on the toes of the computer's delay skill, but I think that's okay because I felt like when delay is useful, it sometimes feels mandatory, so this can kind of alleviate that. Alright, I hope these were good examples for what I talk about when I talk about system design and impactful itemization. Right? Players equip something and I feel like it changes how they play the game. Alright, that's all for now. See you next time.